Hey, folks, welcome into the Huddle, a Black and Gold podcast with your magnanimous host, Mr. Gage. Ryan, how you doing, Gage?
Sensational. That's my co-host Ron Mont. Ron, how are you, pal?
I'll tell you what, man, I'm doing great. I got to tell you something, folks. If yins have a terrible towel collection, okay, and
Mm.
you get chills when you hear Renegade, then yins are in the right place because we're all about talking about the black and gold. We might even talk about the Steelers too. So we got a great show lined up for you again this time, and we're gonna do a little nostalgia once again. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna take you back into the past, the 2010 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh my goodness. So I have a question for you, pal, to kind of just
All
tee
right,
this off for you. Is that
here we
is the
go,
20
teeing it off.
is the 2010 Steeler D the best D to not win a Super Bowl, at least in the modern era?
Um, I'm gonna go one better. I
What's
think the
up?
2010 Pittsburgh Steelers defense is the best defense to ever put their fingers in the dirt, period. I don't care if they
Hmm.
won a Super Bowl or not. I think that is hands down the best defense to ever play a game of football for an entire season.
Hmm.
That defense there's everybody talks about the 2001 Ravens. Okay, that was a good defense. Um and then everybody talks about, oh, well, the Giants had some pretty good defenses, and then they talk about the 85 Bears, and yeah, that was a pretty good defense too, and all that, and blah blah blah. And then they even say, oh, well, hey, well, what about the 77 Pittsburgh Steelers? Um and I'm here to tell you, as far as I'm concerned, that's like number two. Right? Okay, because look at who was on that team from the 77 Steelers. I mean, it's just a who's who of in the who's in the Hall of Fame right now. And there's some guys on that team that should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't. LC Greenwood,
I was gonna
Dwight
say shout out
White,
to LC Greenwood.
LC Greenwood. What? What are you guys waiting for? Come on.
I have no idea. But
Anyway,
if we want to turn our attention to the 2010 team, though, in particular, when I'm kind of looking through the lineup here, you got, Casey Hampton, Ziggy, and Brett Kiesel. You got Aaron Smith, Larry Foote, James Ferrier, James Harrison,
oh,
Lawrence Timmons, Lamar. Like, you got kind of a budding kind of Jason Worlds who was, he didn't live up to his full moniker, but he definitely had some flashes here and there.
all right.
You got the secondary that I think a lot of Steeler fans kind of retcon to be a lot worse than it actually was, which had, Kamikaze Clark, Willie Gay, Brian McFadden, Ryan Mundy, Troy Polamalu, Ike Taylor, just a lot of really solid like vet pieces to top, like high end to upper tier, kind of a lot of B plus players with a couple A pluses sprinkled in there. And it was just a solid defensive team that just beat you up. The scheming wasn't particularly complicated, as we have come to find out in later years, but I think what worked about Mike Tomlin, I'll let you get to your point here in a second, is that I think what worked about Mike Tomlin in the early going and why he was so effective in the early going is because what his teams didn't have in terms of schematics or high in-depth game planning, they were able to make up for with just raw physicality and, suplexing guys like Vince Young into another dimension.
I mean, when you still have a Troy Polamalu on your team,
Yeah.
when you have a James Harrison on your team, when you have Big Snack on your team, when you have the Beard on your team. I mean, look, there's more nicknames on this defense, right? You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, everybody talks about Ryan Clark this and Ryan Clark that, but I'm going to tell you something. Ryan Clark was really good at what he did.
He was a torpedo.
Dude, I'm here to tell you, he was that guy that was going to be that cornerback coming off the edge that's going to get that sack. And he was a guy that could definitely run stride for stride with you. Okay.
Hmm.
He was not afraid to, shall we say, lower the boom, right?
Do you remember when they had that big discussion about whether Ryan Clark could stop Derrick Henry at the goal line?
Yes.
And I was one of the only people that didn't think that that conversation. Well, like I'm sure plenty of Steeler fans didn't, but like listening in, it felt like I was one of the only people that heard that and did not find it to be a preposterous statement at all. If you watched Ryan Clark, he could stop Derrick Henry. Would he do it every time? Probably not, but could he? 1,000,000%.
Dude, I'm taking that all day long. And then you pair him up with Ike Taylor.
Oh yeah. No.
Now, Ike Taylor, when it came to catching the ball, was all about alligator arms. Like that guy couldn't catch a cold in a stiff breeze.
At
You know what
all.
I mean? But I'm here to
God
tell
bless
you,
Swaggin. I love that dude.
right? Okay, I'm with you on that. Right? I'm all about that. And
He had alligator
um,
arms though.
he did right. Okay, which, gosh, man, if he could have just caught a couple of those balls, we'd be talking about the annals of like Taylor. You know what I mean, right? If he would have caught a couple of them, right?
I think he alligator armed a couple of passes in Super Bowl 40.
I'm not saying anything, man. I'm just saying if he'd have caught some of them balls, we'd have a different conversation about Ike Taylor. But
You know what's funny? Can I give you something about
yeah,
Ike before we
go,
go
go,
on?
go, 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 go.
There were a lot of people. Does anybody remember who covered 85 and 05? Where Chad Johnson, Chad Ocho, had his list of all the corners he was going to go against, and he would cross out every single one of them because he was just making all of them look foolish. To the best of my knowledge, there was only one man that remained uncrossed off on that list, and it was Ike.
The big Ike Taylor, because that man,
And he
I'm
did,
here to. I
yeah.
loved it. Yeah, no, dude, that's a great point too, man. Because Chad thought he was that, and he
And
came
he
in to
was, he was to his point, he was.
to
But
some
he
extent.
that shows how, like, listen, Chad Ocho is easily the best wide receiver in Bengals history. Like, maybe Jamar will get there too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying up until this point, it's been Chad Ocho and then whoever else. Like, probably the best career in Bengals history to this point.
Yeah, because at the time Chris Collinsworth was that was more of the run first offense instead of the pass first offense, even with Sam
Yeah.
Reich as the coach. You know what I mean? So, and even with Boomer Esiason and all the other stuff, it just wasn't that. So, but yeah, I'm with
You
you on
never
that.
look back
And
on them as like elite level players. Like, no, not really. I mean,
no,
at all.
but I think you have to, and it's a real shame too that this team. I mean, they didn't they lose in the Super Bowl to the Green Bay
They did.
Packers, right?
They
So
did. And
it
that's something
wasn't
to get
because of
to
the
too.
defense. It wasn't because
Mm-mm.
of the defense. But
No,
what,
it wasn't because of the defense, and that's been a big problem with kind of the way that that game gets remembered. Is that we did go down 21-3, but that included a boneheaded pick by Ben, where he just kind of launched it as far as he could on a bad foot, and just that was a pick six, and that puts you behind. And then momentum plays a factor, and then it was the Sharp Mendenhall fumble, and even after all of that, defense kept him in it enough to give Ben one last drive at the very end. So if Ben
exactly?
goes down, and that last 2 minute drive was horrible, I don't know if you remember, but they were just discombobulated and not prepared at all. A Mike Tomlin team being unprepared. Who would have thought?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Really? A Mike Tomlin team? I'm prepared. No, no, no. Anyway.
Yeah, so like if they go
uh,
down, they get that 2 minute drive at the end, they win that Super Bowl. I think that we look at that defense as one of the best of all time. I think you have no choice but to, especially considering the safety measures that were implemented as a result of them.
okay, that's what I was going to get into next because that
Yeah.
was the year. Was that not the year that James Harrison DPOY?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
By the way, in case y'all didn't know what that was, that's Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. James Harrison, I think, was 08. I think Troy was 10. Let me look that
Oh,
up
okay.
real
I,
quick.
I couldn't remember if Troy was 08 or if James Harrison was 08 and one of them was 010.
Yeah, Troy was 10. Troy was 10. And
Okay.
I mean, he was
Okay.
on fire, man.
I mean, when you had, I mean that was his peak, right? Troy's peak,
Hmm.
2010, I think. I mean, he just
Probably. I mean, you can make the argument that '08 because it's a historic defense, but 2010. I mean, he had 7 picks. He had 7 picks, and that was with
exactly,
injuries.
exactly, and that game against the Ravens,
Oh yeah, 100%.
right?
Where he's always going to reverse field, brother. You know that he's going to reverse field when he gets the ball every time.
Every time. Yeah, yeah, okay, so that defense. I mean, watching that championship game against the Ravens
Mhm.
in the cold, in the snow, and then Troy running it back like that, and I there are two games that stand out in my mind between the Ravens and the Steelers. And they're those two championship games.
In '08 and 10.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I have, even to this day, I have yet to hear a game with the level of hitting that I heard in those two games between the Steelers and the Ravens. Those two games, I mean, those were very much equivalent to like body bag games. Guys
Oh
would get
yeah.
hit and they were getting carted off the field. Okay,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I mean, you could sit in the stands and hear the pops, and I will always and forever remember those two games as being some of the most amazing physical games I've ever watched in football ever.
Oh
And
yeah.
I played for 10 years, man. You know what I mean, right? So,
They
okay.
were rough physical games, man, between two teams that were ready to tear each other's throats out to win.
And that's the kind of football I want to watch.
I
On
remember
a,
that was it Mark Sanchez? No, I think it was someone else, but no, it might have been Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think. That he went on this whole rant. No, my bad. It was Joe Flacco recently who was getting interviewed by somebody, and he had kind of went on this diatribe about penalties and unnecessary roughness, and he's like, "Dude, we sign up for this. Like, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere, right?" When you got a quarterback who's supposed to be protected, and he's like, enough of this already. I think that says a lot, and it decides games when it shouldn't. And there needs to be a happy medium between that 2010 team that was decapitating people on the field every week and what we have now playing a little bit of pillow ball sometimes. So
I mean, yeah, it
there's got
is
to
a
be a
little pillow
medium.
ball, right? Like they're calling stuff. It's almost to the point now where like,
Is it pillow ball or is it gambling or is it both?
see, I think the gambling has very much
Yeah.
turned the corner or changed the outcome of games because of the odds or I was never a fan of bringing the betting into sports at all, period. And I was never a fan of making it legalized. And as soon as you did that, man, I knew it was going to be like this.
And here we are.
And here we are. You know what I mean? And all it does is, look, everybody has their own thing, and everybody does their own thing, and to each their own. Okay, I'm just I don't I'm not a better. I'm not that kind of person. You know what I mean? Because I don't have that kind of money to lose. So
But me either. But in terms of like kind of the rule set and kind of the way things were at the time, you'd be surprised the amount of hits in that 2010 team that weren't penalties. Plenty of them were. Don't get me wrong. And James got fined a tremendous amount of money that season. But you'd be
yeah,
surprised the amount of them that did not get called as penalties at the time that you would think surely would be ejection suspensions and like bannings in today's game. That team, there's no way that 2010 team will ever be a thing ever again. And you know what? That's fine.
you have to say that about every generation of football. Because if like the reason why I'm saying that is if you go back to like the days of the Four Horsemen and Night Train Lane and Rosie
Mhm.
Greer and all them guys, right, and all that stuff, right? And those guys were clotheslining guys,
Oh yeah.
right? Like they were purposefully taking your head off. They would horse collar you to death, man. I'm not kidding you, right? Okay.
We can't have that. We
And
can't have that. What were we
anyway,
doing?
right. Any way they could take you down or take you out, that's what the level of play was, right? And so then you got, you advanced a little bit in time, and then you get the rules get a little bit more, oh, now you have to give the receiver 5 yards off the line, and oh, you can't do this, and you can't, you have to have your hands in a certain way. You can't use your hands. You can't clothesline guys. You can't horse collar guys anymore now. You can't
The Mel
lead with
Blunt
your
rule.
Okay, right. You got to give guys 5 yards off the line, and all this stuff to try to protect the player, to the point now where you basically can barely touch the guy, and you're getting flagged, or
Yeah,
guys that are look, I want to see receivers and cornerbacks fighting for the ball,
I agree.
because a cornerback has every right to that ball when it's in the air. Right? So now, as long as you're not, basically mugging the guy or tackling him before he gets a chance, you got to be able to give the guy a chance to catch the ball, just like he's giving you a chance to catch the ball.
Mm.
Right? So there's gonna be some of that, you know,
And fighting.
and whatever. Right? There's gonna be some of that combat, and that's, to me, that's
That's
football.
football.
Okay, see, I'm not the only one here. I'm sure you folks out there too are not the only ones either. You know what I mean? We want to see. We don't want to see all these hankies on the field every single time a receiver goes down to catch a pass. You can't
Um,
tell me that it's a pass interference call every single time. Come on.
no, and like we know that in addition to sports betting and all that stuff, which we all know is part of the equation, but I think another part of it is significantly is the CTE aspect of it. And like someone that's had two brain surgeries myself and is pretty cognizant of head trauma. But I also love combat sports, and I love boxing, and I love MMA, and I love bare knuckle fighting and whatnot. It's one of
Getting
those things
hit
where
in the head
if
repeatedly
you're
on purpose.
yeah, I love watching that stuff. And it's one of those things where like if they sign up for it, then let's not act like we don't know what we're signing up for here. I mean, that's basically what Flacco's whole rant was. It was great. For anybody that hasn't seen it, it needs to be watched in its entirety. It's like 30 seconds long, but it's perfect.
I really like what the 2010 Steelers did. They made a statement
Mm-hmm.
in that season. They basically said, "Here is the line, and you shall not pass." Uh,
They
Tell
made
me
their
I'm
bones on
wrong.
being they made their bones on being tough, man. And like the way that it goes in fighting, but you can extend this to any other sport that you want, really. A lot of athletes that are really good aren't really tough, and a lot of athletes that are really tough aren't really good. Chael Sonnen talks about it a lot. And like our defense was just so mean and nasty that the things that they lacked just didn't matter at all. They were like first in points, second in yards, third in total. Like it was crazy, like the numbers that they put up, even though they got their secondary got called washed, which I thought was a pretty unfair sentiment.
Yeah, but there was fear.
Oh yeah.
Like, there was absolute fear coming into Pittsburgh, knowing that you're going to have to face this. I mean, let's see, and I can relate to this because I got to live through this, but back in the day, teams feared coming into Pittsburgh. Teams feared
Oh
playing
yeah.
against Pittsburgh because of the defense that they had. Okay. Let's face it. If you're going up against Mean Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood and Jack Lambert and blah, 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 you ain't going to have a good day.
It was
Right?
always a rougher ball game, as they say.
Okay. So now you're going up against the likes of Troy Polamalu, Ike Taylor, Ryan Clark,
Mm-hmm.
Casey Hampton, right? Brett Kiesel. Uh, it's not going to be a good day for you.
No, No, man. And it's one of those defenses that does kind of get lost to history. I made a video about them a little while ago. Like, I think that that's a team that needs to be given their flowers, a defense that needs to be given their flowers. And, kind of winding this down a little bit is like, it does suck that they kind of just could not reach that mountaintop. They couldn't quite hit that peak. But in terms of like what ifs, it's just not a world you ever really want to be in as a team.
I'm with you on that, and quite frankly, I think the injuries at the end of the season and how they limped into the Super Bowl
Yeah.
with Marquise Pouncey um, not being able to go
Ben
was
being injured, having a really bad foot.
see, and that I think was and Mendenhall wasn't exactly 100% healthy. Regardless, I mean, I
Mendenhall.
I know, gosh, man.
I don't think we've talked about him on the show at all. And I mean, like, you know,
GY.
I remember I made a video where it was the Steelers. They played against the Packers like a year before the Super Bowl. And Mendenhall had a really good game. I said, this is a really good game from Mendenhall. Hopefully, he won't have any crucial fumbles against the Packers in his career at any point. I
Boy, was
just,
that fortuitous.
do you remember that that he had said I didn't fumble the ball, I got removed from the ball or something like that? Oh man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that just goes to show you that Mike Tomlin doesn't know how to pick running backs neither.
Hmm. There was a lot of like kind of like what ifs at the running back position around that time frame. Talk about Mendenhall. Redmond was a decent red zone guy, I guess, but like then guys like Dwyer who ruined their whole careers for being, anyway.
Yeah, I'm with
Like there
you.
was a lot of what ifs at that time. A lot of talented players that just, flamed out for a lot of different reasons actually.
See, that's the thing right there. There was a lot of talent on that team, and there was a lot of guys left over from the '08 Super Bowl still,
Hmm.
right? That were still, suiting up, right? I mean, Heinz Ward was part of that team. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So you had guys on the team that been there, done that, blah 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 blah, and there was injuries. There was they just it it just wasn't their time.
It
You
just
know what I
wasn't.
mean?
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And you can look back at some of the other teams out there like Buffalo. Man, the 4 years that they went to the Super Bowl,
Oh,
Anthony, they had some really sick defenses, man. Come
sick
on.
defenses, the K gun offense, the no huddle. I mean, they were awesome, and few people talk about them, and the ones that do just talk about the fact that they went 0 and 4.
And then you have to look at guys and teams like, the Packers that had the Minister of Defense. Then you have to look at the Giants that had Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor. You know what I mean? Then you can go back even further and the Dallas Doomsday defense or the Vikings Purple People Eaters or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Kansas City Chiefs, man, when they won their Super Bowl, well, their defense was on point. Okay,
Mm.
right. That was the whole reason why they won that Super Bowl. But
Mm.
the defense wins championships,
It
right?
does, even in today's day and age, man. You can't go into the dance with offense and no defense because even if you get into shootouts, your likelihood of winning 4 shootouts in a row is pretty much zero.
Hey, yeah, right. The big goose egg on that one. Well, man, I'll tell you what, dude. We got a chance to reminisce about a
Yeah.
really good team with some really good players, and I agree. It was a shame that they didn't get a chance to raise the Lombardi Trophy, but it just wasn't their time. It was an Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers. By the way, to this day, I still don't watch highlights of that game.
I don't either. I've only done it once or twice and it kind of hurts, so I just don't do it anymore.
And like they put out the America's game, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I don't watch any
Never
of that
watched it.
stuff. Oh, okay. We'll see. Nah, well, America's game, by the way, is really good. You should check that
Oh yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Especially
I
when
saw the
they
one with that they did the Colts, the Steelers and the Colts in the playoffs in '06. I always loved that one.
right because he's like, all right, we're booking our plane tickets to Denver. Oh wait, hold on, we're not booking them yet. All right, now we're booking the tickets to Denver. Okay, like, all right.
Man, like we're totally off the rails at this point, but like the Tunch Ilkin call of somebody's got to tackle him will forever echo in my 8-year old mind. I had a breakdown watching that game. I've never been so stressed out watching a game to this day.
So here's one for you. Pittsburgh Steelers is Super Bowl 43 against the Arizona Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Arizona throws the pass to Larry Fitzgerald and he runs it into the end zone to take
Yeah.
the lead of the game. And my wife turned off the TV.
Uh,
She was so mad. She
oh,
turned off the TV and ran out of the room, right?
ah.
So I turned the TV back on. Right? Okay. So you get what I'm saying here. Okay. All right. Well, man, I'll tell you what. I love talking about the 2010 Steelers. I'll talk about them all day long. Like I said, some of the games that they played that year, especially that was the three-peat year against the Ravens. That was one of the
Oh, that's
years.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
You went 2-0 in the regular season, got him out of there in the playoffs. Like clean sweep, bro.
that's right.
GG.
We like that clean sweeps against the Ravens. But
Mhm.
man, we got a chance to talk about the 2010 Pittsburgh Steelers, and we hope you enjoyed us talking about 2010 Pittsburgh Steelers, and then everything else that we kind of went on a tangent about as well. Look, it's all about the
Yeah.
Steelers, so it's all good, right? So who cares?
Hell yeah.
uh, Gage, why don't you tell the folks where we can find all your great stuff, my man?
You can find my MMA content at Contender MMA, and you can find myself, Ron, Frayne, Steve, and everybody else for all of our content that you can't find here at 5 Star Matchup.
For sure, man. By the way, we'll probably be having a show here coming out real soon
Hmm.
with our draft analysis about who maybe we think that the Steelers could potentially draft or should be able to draft because
Hmm.
they've got a huge plethora of picks, um, specifically second and third rounds, where they have three in each round. They got 12
Yeah.
picks coming up this year. So, ooh, doggies. That could potentially get them to move up to pick a better player, hopefully. So, but yeah, man, thanks very much for tuning in, checking us out. You can catch me on X at RNJ_media. Please hop on over to the YouTube channel, check out the show. We'd really appreciate you smashing that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Huddle, a Black and Gold podcast. We will catch you all on the next one.